The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Donna Campbell with Real Estate Dreams and Beyond, and this is the week before 4th of July, and we're calling this our 4th of July show. So happy 4th of July to everyone out there. Obviously, America was built on a dream. We are Real Estate Dreams and Beyond. We are here every Monday at 3 o'clock to share our knowledge of mortgages, buying a home, investing in a home, and how to get your credit to where you need it to be. I am humbled always to be here with my special co-host, Lucia Corral from Elsie's Credit Solutions.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, lovely. How are you today?
I am doing great. It is a happy Monday.
Yes, it is. And my other beautiful co-host is Miss Jennifer Fanning with Waterstone Mortgage, our loan professional.
Yay. Hello, everybody. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I am good. I love your background, Donna.
Thank you.
I know.
Thank
Super
you.
patriotic. Things.
Well, you know, when you think about the 4th of July coming up and everything that our country had to do to become free, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just wonderful that we get to sit here with 3 professionals and talk about the American dream, which has always been owning your own home, right? And living in your own space. And to some, real estate is a job, you know, outside of our professions, but there's investors out there that are buying multiple houses, getting a steady income off of that. And today we just like to really open up that topic for discussion, because I know a lot of people, once you get your first house, you're like, how can we buy another, right? That's the big question that's out there for everyone. So Jenna is going to be sharing with us some highlights into what you have to do in regards to qualifying for a mortgage. Not everyone pays cash up front. So honestly, if you really want your money to work for you, you would get a loan no matter what and keep your money free at hand. And then obviously with anything in real estate, when you're purchasing or you're getting a mortgage, credit is the beginning rock of your foundation, right? And so Lucia will also be talking about key points. Last week, if you missed that show, they just did a great job at breaking down the FICO score and the points that go toward the 5 big contributors on that. I learned so much from it. I was really excited to be on there.
I did too. I learned so much. And I had a client this last weekend that I broke it down. I was like, you need problems. You need to talk to Lucia, because here's how many points you're missing out on.
Yes,
absolutely.
You know, and I'm like, and I can't fix it for you. And you're not going to do it for yourself, because they don't.
So
absolutely.
Go ahead, Lucia.
They can. Everybody has the option of doing what we do, except for you, Jen, right? Everybody has to go through a lender. Yeah. But everybody has the ability to do what we do themselves. But our services are here for those who, one, don't have the knowledge or don't have the time.
Right.
Yeah. And what a great job. They've just, LC's Credit Solutions has just expanded into the Texas market. So, I mean, they're nationally to begin with, but they have 3 states that are huge areas of concentration for them right now, which is Florida, Arkansas, and Texas. And I'm just so excited to have you on this show.
Yeah, we're super excited to be here.
Well, Jen, let's start out with you. All right. So I own a home. Yay. And now I want to buy another one. Okay. So on my first home, I only had to put 3.5% down. What is that looking like for me when I go to purchase a second home?
Yes. If you're purchasing a second home for investment, the minimum down is 25%.
Now, you heard her say for investment.
Yes. Because second homes, it's different.
There you go. And
Yes.
what is the difference if it's your second home?
Yeah. So if it's a second home, then it's 10% down. But I will say you cannot buy a second home in the same house or in the same community you live in, or a second home, because I've had people try that before. Second home nearby, you can't do that unless it makes sense. So like in Florida, if you were to live inland for your primary home, like you've got a big, beautiful primary home inland, and you want to buy a beach condo, that makes sense. And an underwriter would definitely say, oh yeah, for them to go live on the weekends at the beach, yes, that sounds like a second home.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. So, what are the credit scores what do you need in a credit score to purchase your investment home? Not the second home, but your investment home.
So that depends on the product we're using. So right now, the lowest credit score that I can work with if you're purchasing a true investment property is 680.
Okay, very nice.
So you definitely need, and most of the products, I only have one product that'll go down to 680. And most products, they want to see a 720, or higher credit score, because they are lending you money on a house, which let's face it, if times get hard, what is the first payment you're going to stop making? It's going to be that investment property.
Gotcha.
So when you're purchasing your first home, mm-hmm. if you're purchasing FHA or if you're purchasing conventional, there is a debt to income ratio that mm-hmm. all lenders are going to be looking at. Could you cover those for us?
You mean as far as if you're purchasing a primary residence?
Yes, let's start with that.
Yeah, so primary residence, FHA actually goes up to 55% debt to income ratio, which means wow. when you look at your gross income versus the minimum payments that show up on the credit report. So we're not talking cell phones, water bills, all those extra things. So just the minimum payments that come up on the credit report, we compare that debt to the gross income. FHA says that up to 55% of that can be used. That's if you have a high enough credit score. So there's a cutoff. If you're under a certain score, you can only do 50%. If I believe it's 680, you have to be over a 680 in order to do 55%.
Okay. And then on conventional, what is the DTI there?
So it's supposed to be 45%, 42%. So it's super subjective now because we have this thing called DU, which is the automated underwriting system. And so all of the major investors, Fannie, Freddie, FHA, they're like, if you can get DU to say yes, we'll accept it. So the rules really for conventional are supposed to be 45% and under, but I have lots of conventional loans that if the people have other strong pieces of their file, like extra cash on hand or, big 401ks, they'll allow me to go up to 48.5% debt to income, for a conventional loan. So there's, a few different factors, which is income, assets. So if you've got great assets, and then obviously that credit score. So, so if you've got big assets, sometimes that really does help. With what
so Jen,
go ahead.
So Jen, question, when you say debt to income, now, are you referring to only positive debt or does that include both positive and negative debt?
So what are you saying negative debt as in like collections?
Negative debt as in collections. Maybe somebody has a repo or like, how is that all calculated? Is that calculated in the debt to income ratio or is that not calculated because it's in collections?
Right. So collections If it's under $2,000, FHA doesn't care. And we do not assign a payment to it. It's just there. Medical collections have actually fallen off of the credit report, so I'm not even seeing those anymore, which is a beautiful thing. So, but $2,000. Now, if there's a bigger collection than that, I typically tell the people they have to go out and get a payment on that or go negotiate it. So FHA requires for something to be done with that. Typically, it's a payment. So then they got to qualify with that negative debt payment. Give me a letter saying what the payment is. So I usually just tell people that they go and negotiate it down and just pay this.
We're buying an investment property. What does the DTI look like on those?
Well, that's even more subjective because I have products that don't even go off of your income at all. So you can purchase investment properties using what we call a debt services loan, which means that the debt that you're taking out is going to pay for itself, which that is the goal of an investment property, right?
Yes.
Is that property will pay for itself plus then some is what most people are hoping. And so on those properties, there are those types of loans, there are no debt to income ratios. If you're financing it in a traditional way, just using a Freddie Fannie type of product, in that case, then you need, to stay within those guidelines, the 45 to 48% debt to income ratio. That's all subjective based on cash on hand, etc.
Okay. And then,
oops, I think she froze.
I think so too. So Jen, let me ask you something. I have had a couple of people who are interested in maybe their first purchase not be a home for them, but be an investment property. So they're like, we're thinking about renting while we buy an investment property. What would you say when someone is thinking about doing a transaction that way?
Right. So they definitely need 25% down plus closing costs. So if you are not a primary home owner or already currently have investment properties, the debt services loan would not be something that we would be able to use. So you would have to qualify for a loan in a traditional manner. You couldn't use the income from the new property to say it's paying for the debt on that property. So you definitely would have to qualify and have the 25% down. Plus, I always tell people, on investment properties, another 4 to 5% for your closing costs.
So that's definitely a big factor. They'll have to really factor out the 20% down payment compared to, what is the current interest rate right now? Is it about 6%? Is that accurate, or is it higher?
It's higher than that. So for an investment property, so when we're looking at a primary residence, I pulled somebody's credit today and we're looking at right around 6.5%, paying a couple points today for somebody who had great credit. So if you're looking at an investment property, because there's more risk, that rate will be higher. So I didn't pull an investment property rate for my traditional way today, but my guess is you'd be close to 7.5% just because there's more risk. So you're looking at that 7.5%. So you have to qualify for that full payment, with the taxes, the homeowner's insurance, the whole 9 yards. But one thing I tell people, Elsie, is that if they think they want to be landlords and they don't own their own property yet, is why not buy a primary residence, right? Buy a primary residence, live in that house for a year or two, do whatever updating or whatever you think you need, and then move out of that house and rent it. So we can actually then count the rent that you'll receive from that house that you're exiting as
income
towards the next house. So
got you.
Because then that gives you the ability to put the minimum down and then you're moving on to the next bigger house then, and being able to utilize now. The bad part is you do have to have the cash to move into the new house. And some people have to sell in order to do that. But if you can save in order to purchase that, the new primary residence, or pull the equity out of the investment property prior to it becoming an investment property, you know, that's a way for people to get homes as assets and use them as investment properties.
I agree. And I know with, you know, the prices of the homes that spiked up, a lot of people have some great equity in their homes at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. They do. Absolutely. Well, and the good part is like interest rates, we're starting to see it trickle down. So if you could purchase something right now, live in it for a year or two, by the time interest rates really come down enough to where you can refinance to get the payment lower, and then move on to your next property that you're going to live in.
That is awesome. That's definitely great advice.
Well, it's a great way for people to get their toes wet with their first investment property. Because then they've got that on their tax returns. They're showing it then the following year on their tax returns. The debt services loans, like if you want to go and buy more and more properties, you get a better interest rate if you have a current investment property. So there's a few perks to being somebody that's got multiple properties like that. It just shows that you're able, to be a landlord.
The experience, right? Because when you purchase a home, you never know what's going to go wrong with the home. So might as well, you live in it for the first year, see what the house needs, do any fixer-uppers, and then you can rent it with a peace of mind knowing that, hey, I've lived in it for a year, this and this and this I've already upgraded, and now I know my tenants hopefully won't go through, any additional mishaps.
Right. And what I always tell people is don't make the house personal. So, I have a friend who remodeled a condo down here in South Florida. She lives in another state. And her intention at first was to use it, as her second home, but, and then rent it part of the year as well. But she made it so personal when she remodeled that now she's like, oh, it's my baby. How do I let other people that I don't know come and
live in my home?
Right. So now she's wrestling with that. And I'm like, girl, you're never here. Rent it. Why are you paying for it?
You'd be surprised. A lot of people really are looking for, part-time rentals. They're not looking for, a full lease. So definitely a great thing to do, especially out in Florida. People are vacationing out to Florida constantly. So I know the Airbnb game is really spiked up here recently. And, renting out that condo would definitely do her some good.
Correct. And I mean, my caution to people, so I would say if anybody out there is thinking of entering the Airbnb space, the first place I would start is looking at your city ordinances around that. Some cities are super open to it and let you do the Airbnb thing. Some cities have lots of guidelines around it. Like I know there's some cities down here in South Florida that require the homeowner to actually put noise meters in. So then if the decimals get a certain point over, the homeowner gets an alert saying that your guests are being too loud. And then it's the homeowner's responsibility to go make sure that their guests quiet down so that the neighborhood is not disturbed. Because I know there's been a lot of even non-HOA neighborhoods that have really lobbied, their local governments to not allow the Airbnbs because of the transient nature of them.
Yeah. Now that you speak in reference to that, we actually had gotten a Airbnb in Fort Lauderdale, and now that you mentioned that, there definitely was signs about no more noise after, I think it was like 10 or 11 o'clock, something like that. I think it was like 10 actually. So definitely can see where they're putting that into play, which definitely I think a lot of people that are renting out an Airbnb are usually going on vacation, or, we did, rented an Airbnb when we went down South Texas, out by South Padre Island. We rented out an Airbnb over there for my son's graduation.
Nice.
And it was actually, shocking to see that the Airbnbs, not that shocking, I guess I would say, but it was news to us that you can't have celebrations at an Airbnb, or you can't have parties at an Airbnb. So that was new to us, to experience, because that was our plan, right? We got an Airbnb, we got a pool, we got, we were going to do a little celebration for my son, and it says on there, no parties.
Wow. Well, my guess is that's where the properties probably get damaged if people, obviously you're throwing a grad party, not a kegger, but
right.
So there's a difference, but I'm assuming as the owner, you just do a blanket, no parties, because that's protecting your property. So, but yeah, every single city has its own ordinances around Airbnbs. So I would definitely say if that's the type of investment property people are wanting to buy, make sure, what the area says you can and cannot do. And the same with condos. So a lot of people think they're going to buy condos down here in South Florida and rent them out either as a, part-time, seasonal thing, or as an Airbnb, but all condo HOAs have have their own bylaws and rules as to how, how long you have to own that property before you can rent it out. Some actually say 2 years. You got to own that property.
2 years.
And then there's some that just have a zero rent policy, just depending on the building. So I would say that it's super important for investors to work with an experienced realtor, like Donna, because she will be able to know, if you're looking in condo communities, whether that property could even be rented or not. And if so, how long is it? A 6-month rental is their minimum, a year rental? There's all kinds of rules and regulations around that. So I feel like when people are buying investment properties, they really have significantly more homework to do than when they're just purchasing a primary residence.
And they probably want to be a little bit more open with their real estate agent about, what they want to do with that property.
100%, because my guess is, Donna, that it would matter to you as an agent as to what kind of searches you set them up for. If somebody tells you they want to do an Airbnb or long-term rentals, you would show them completely different properties. Is that correct?
Well, absolutely. And there are a few exceptions in regards to condos, but if you're looking for something to get into quickly and start making money off of it, condos are not your answer. Mm-hmm. Most of them do have a 1-year wait period before you can lease again. Yeah. Some of them are 2 years. Many of them have 2-year, twice a year limitations and how often you can rent out.
Yep.
So for the most part, and I'm going to say 99% of condominiums cannot do Airbnbs. They are looking for somebody to come in and stay 6 months, maybe 3 or 4 months during the seasonal period, but they're not looking to be an Airbnb, nor are the owners that live in that. So
correct.
My best advice is, if you are looking to purchase, that you do so with a single family home, and that you do so with one that is not in an HOA initially. Now, I have great stories of the opposite of that. So let's just take Ibis Country Club, for example, right? Huge membership fees, right? To about the point of about $31,000 a year. It costs you just to live there, right?
Just to breathe there.
Like if you have a golf membership and you're paying your HOA and you're doing
there's an HOA on top of that?
Yes. And initially, to get your golf membership, at most of these private communities, you're talking about a $75,000 to $150,000 investment just to start, to begin with. However, sometimes you can find great prices on the places there. So I have a unit in the same community. It's a townhome. It rents out beautifully at $13,000 a month during season, and 4 months of that covers all your dues for the year, right? So, but if you're looking for the quick, like, I want to rent this out, and even there, twice a year is all you can rent. It's not, you're not looking to be an Airbnb person, So single family homes, I think are the best fit for that. I'm not saying that other ones aren't. There are some loopholes, like, for example, if you buy a investment property and it already has a renter in place, you can assume that lease and maybe you're getting money during your first year.
Correct.
Okay. But there's still that year wait period. I really like the deal of Coldwell Banker, which is whom I work with, has a program called Revitalize. And I think it's perfect for investors because we can go find you a house. I have one in mind. Okay. It's $329,000 in Stuart, right?
Wow, that's a good deal.
It's painted.
Price.
It's a great price. It's 3 bedroom, 1 bath, completely remodeled inside already, right? But the outside is the worst color of blue you can possibly imagine, right? So an investor,
just paint.
It needs paint, right? And I, in all honesty, haven't inspected it down to the bones, like felt it and touched it. So sometimes you can't tell what the pictures show online, but it's on a really nice size lot of about 12,000 square feet. And at that price, someone could purchase it, right, as an investment property. You can use Coldwell Banker's Revitalize program. We'll go out and have that house painted for you. All right. You don't have to pay any money out of pocket. You can wait till closing and you get to approve the quote. So it's not like we're saying, oh, you've got to take this painter. You know, we work with Angie's List. So you can have 2 quotes, 3 quotes, 4 quotes, as many as you want. You're going to approve that. And let's just say that they say it's $5,000 to paint the outside of the house. Well, as long as that doesn't go over the commission that you're offering on the sell side, because now you're putting it back to sell, right? So you bought it last week. Now you're going to relist it, but we're going to revitalize it, right? So we're going to go in and fix it. We're going to do, basically on this particular home I'm talking about, we're going to do some landscaping outside so it has some curb appeal. And we're going to change the outside color of the house. So probably overall, let's say $7,500. But now you're able to go back and list that house at a higher price because we all know that Stuart is a very sought after area, great school systems and everything else that goes along with it, close to our waterways and et cetera. So that's just one quick way. If you were a beginning investor, you could basically buy it, put it back on the market, utilize someone else's money to finish it, have that come out at closing cost, and you take the net proceeds from it, which I think is a great deal.
I think it's a super great deal. The only thing I would add to that, Donna, being the lender and thinking from a lender side. So when they go to sell it again, they just cannot take an FHA contract because FHA requires the house to be in the person who's selling its name for 6 months or longer.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because they don't do, it's called like a flip. It's like their flip clause or something that they don't,
Well, who wants to pay the PMI anyway, Jen? Right? Why not go get a conventional?
Yes.
Correct. I mean,
but some people can't. So, some people
but when you think about your second home, you got to put 20% down.
Oh, I thought you were saying like the investor was going to sell it to a primary.
Yeah. So this is your second home as an investor, right? So,
right. I'm sorry. I was confused as to what.
It's okay.
The scenario.
Right. Yeah. So it's, it's a really good program. You have to find the right house, obviously. You can't go in and need foundational work. you know, we can't do anything like that, but we can rip out carpet in every room, right? We can put in a new electrical panel for you if it's outdated.
Wow.
Your ceiling is falling in because it got wet from the roof. We can put all new drywall in that ceiling as part of a project. And these are all things that I've done utilizing that before. And guess what happens? You get the highest dollar amount back on your home, right? Because you've addressed those ugly things that were sticking out before. So we have, I mean, I'm encouraged by the real estate market right now. Even though interest rates are higher, we do have more inventory, and I am seeing rent prices shift down just a little bit. And I'm also seeing, you know, with more on the market and some of the prices still being a little more inflated than what they should be, it really is starting to be more of an even playing field for buyers and sellers. Whereas in 2022, the sellers owned the market. You know what I mean? We want it to be even for both sides, right? That makes the best purchasing.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, people are actually able to negotiate, and you really have like that whole process then, right?
Yes.
You know, when it's even, where one person doesn't have significantly over another person as far as leverage, you know.
You could literally purchase something like this and have it back on the market in 3 weeks after purchasing it, and then getting gain from it. It doesn't, they're very fast. I used Revitalize on a listing in Delray, and it did all these things that I was talking about. The electrical panel, the whole ceiling in the garage it was done because the roof needed to be replaced.
Right.
And then it needed painted inside, and all of those things brought him top dollar. And I want to tell you that we called Angie's List. Somebody was out there within 2 days. We had a quote the same
in South Florida.
In South Florida, in Delray.
That's unheard of. I don't believe it.
And then they came out, gave us our quote same day, and then started the next week on it, and was done in 2 days.
Wow.
It was amazing. And I picked up that guy as a client. So the guy that was doing the remodel ended up being my client, and I sold his house last summer and sold them another one up in Jupiter. So it does quality work, you know. And again, like if you're not happy with that person that shows up, you know, we just call Angie's List and ask for somebody else to come out and give us another quote.
Nice.
So,
now, Donna, is there like a max amount that this Revitalize program allots you to make remodels? Is there like a cap on it?
yes, it's so, you know, whenever you're paying commission and you're listing a product, 5 to 6% is what you're going to be paying the two agents, right? Which is split down the middle. So if it's 6% and you're selling for $400,000, it allows you $24,000 worth of remodel. So it can't be more than the commission you're paying. But that's a lot, you know. If it's an $800,000 home, it's $48,000 worth of repairs that you don't have to come out of pocket with. So
that's amazing. Especially for people who have owned their homes for a long time or invested, looking to flip, you know.
Yes, Jen. That would fit you.
Yes.
No, she's got more than one home already.
Thanks to the kid.
Yeah.
My investment property that my kid lives in.
But it was a good one.
It's a great property. Yeah, yes. Absolutely. We got a great deal on it. And, you know, and so eventually it's going to need a little TLC when she's ready to move on. So one day.
Right now, you know, I'm working on, it's going to be a really big deal. It's an assemblage of acreage. And then that's going to be turned into what I was told today, 28 townhomes that will meet, they'll be in the $400,000, you know, mark. But I did an old thing. I went and knocked on someone's door today because there's this one little plot of land that has this little house on. And, you know, the lady opened up her door and she took my card and she's going to call me and I think she's going to do it. Yeah, I was really excited about that. And these condos are going to be built in an area that is kind of being revitalized here in West Palm Beach. I decided I should not go down to the dirty details of it all. So in an area that's up and coming, and I'm really, really excited about that. The 4th of July weekend is usually a great weekend for purchasing a home. What's going on like that? But the 4th of July weekend is a great time to go out and look at homes. I know I'm going to be working on the 4th of July. So if you have something that you would like to see, let me know. If you're interested in the Live Local Act, that's being turned on here.
July 1st.
July 3rd. I have 2 loans that are in my pipeline live and active that I'm waiting for things to be turned on July 3rd. And I'm super excited to see what the interest rate is going to be because they're not posting any of that right now. And the bond interest rates in the state of Florida have come down. So I'm guessing, I have a guess, and I'm really hoping I'm right.
I love that.
Your guess? No.
So on July 3rd, if you hear a great big
woo! Lucia, what are your plans for the 4th of July?
Well, here in Maybank, Texas, where we're currently at, there is a huge lake, which you know as well as I know, since we're Arkansas girls, that we love our lakes, right? There's no gators in these. There's no gators in these over here. There's no gators in the lakes here, so we'll be out on the lake for 4th of July, enjoying our family. All our kiddos are home for the summer, so we have 5 kids at home. So we will be enjoying our new lake.
And your new house.
And our new house. We love it.
I'm so excited. I think Jen and I are going to have to come to Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I have never actually been to Texas. I've stopped at the airport, but I've never actually been to Texas. And barbecue, like that's what I think of as barbecue.
Barbecue everywhere.
Yes.
Makes my mouth water.
Oh, yeah, I love barbecue. What about you, Jen? What are your plans for the holiday?
So over the weekend, I'm boating. And then 4th of July, I will probably watch the fireworks from my beach. Is probably what I'm going to do. So, because we're able to sit out on my community's beach and see actually fireworks both directions. From Boynton Beach and from Lake Worth Beach. So I might actually like put my paddleboard in the water and just paddle out a little way so that I can see both because I'm kind of in a cove. So yeah.
Very nice.
You're brave. You're brave.
What, to go out on the water at night?
Yeah.
There's so many people here. It's so lit up, So
well, I don't know.
How about you, Donna?
I don't have definite plans, but I will just say that every time I think about the 4th of July, I always think about ribs. I don't know why, but it's ribs, hamburgers, hot dogs, right? Being grilled out. It's always with my family. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's on the water. Sometimes it is not, but I don't know. There's just something about that day that's exhilarating because if you think back in history, right, it isn't what we're looking at right now. The freedom that we have is so taken for granted in our country. I feel like, and people died so we could have what we want. And that day, I mean, is just, it's really an American day, right? It's a time to be thankful for what you do have.
Yep.
And look forward to the future and what we can bring to the youth. And that freedom still exists, I guess is the way that I think about it. It's an exciting day and I'm really looking forward to it. I want to let you guys chat for just a second and I'm going to pull up some stats before we get off the show. If you want to talk about some credit for just a minute, Lucy, and I'll be right back.
Absolutely. So,
can I ask you a question about credit real quick?
yes.
Okay, so I have a friend who's wanting to bump her score up. It's pretty decent right now, but she was wanting to bump it up because she needs it to be a certain number in order to live in this community that she wants to buy in. And so we talk about utilization last week, and they were talking about what 70. What are the points? 78 points or something like that you can gain by reducing your utilization.
Your credit utilization makes up 165 points of your credit score.
Oh, that's
right,
even
and that's
than I thought.
Oh man, and that's exactly what I was going to bring up was, if someone's looking to, just bump up their score and they're not really sure how, the most I would say guaranteed way to raise that score is to bring down those credit card balances, right? You think about 165 points, even some who recommend 30% utilization, there's still a big chunk of points being held up in that 30%. So my recommendation is always bring your credit card balances down as low as possible. I usually recommend anywhere between 3 and 10% of their total limit, right? So if they have $10,000 worth of credit cards, total, then they need to be at about 3 to 10% of that total. That's not each individual card, that is the total, right? So that is definitely one of the biggest things that we see in credit repair. Some people don't even need our services. They just don't have the knowledge of how many points are being held up in their credit card balances that they're not really sure what to do. They're like, Lucia, I pay my credit cards off every single month.
Yeah.
But if they're paying off their credit cards after it's been reported to the credit bureaus, their credit report is never going to reflect that. Right. So they need to make sure they're paying it down 3 to 5 days before their statement date, not their due date.
Okay. So, before the statement cuts. So the statement date, that is a good rule of thumb as to when they're reporting to the credit bureaus.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the statement date is what they're going to report to the bureau. So you want to have it paid 3 to 5 days before that statement date so that when the bureaus report, they're going to report, hopefully a zero balance if they paid it off in full or a low balance after they've made their initial payment.
Okay. All right. Good to know. That's good to know because people always ask me, well, when do they report to the credit reporting bureaus? I'm like, I don't know.
Yep. Most of us get an email, right? Most of us are going to get an email. Your statement is ready, right? So I always tell everybody, go look at your email, see when you get those statements. They're going to send it out on the same day every single month. And you want to have it paid 3 to 5 days before that statement date. So now let's say you have a client who they have great utilization. Their utilization looks good and they have a pretty good credit score. Now, one thing that they can do is that they can call their existing credit card companies, request a credit limit increase so that their utilization and that limit jump can also help increase their score.
Right. Good. No, that's good. Well, and then my friend was asking, she's like, well, what if my boyfriend added me, as a authorized user? And I was like, yes, that works. I said, but remember you used the word boyfriend. So what if he ever becomes not your boyfriend and pulls you off of that? I said, so you got to get your credit score up. Once it's up, then you need to ask the credit card companies to give you more of a limit.
Yes.
In case he ever, decides to take you off.
And that's the thing about being an authorized user is that, if you have someone that absolutely pays their bills on time, you want to make sure that there's no late payments attached to that account, even if it was in the past. Right. If there's a late payment on the account from, 5 years ago, it's going to be added to your profile. So no late payments. The lower the balance, the better. And the older the account, the better, because now you're going to also gain that credit history that account comes with.
Right. Yeah, that's all good stuff. I'll have to tell her that then. I mean, because she has good credit. Like she doesn't truly need a credit repair. She just has a certain community. And down here in South Florida, some communities and HOAs require you have a certain credit score. That's how they legally discriminate, I guess. I don't know. But
right.
But she wants to live in that community. And so I'm like, all right, so we're not far away. Like, what do you got to do?
Yep.
All right, I have some numbers for you guys.
Oh, good.
So again, I'm kind of streamlining this around investment properties.
Okay.
So currently between Fort Lauderdale and the Treasure Coast, which is our MLS area, we have 10,000 single family homes on the market. Okay.
Okay.
And that doesn't include any that are HAPA, meaning for 55, 65 and older, those types of things. It doesn't include those. Out of that 10,000, 661 of those are below $350,000.
Wow. Huh.
Which is
Wow.
changed drastically since
Yeah.
9 months. Okay, we didn't have that type of inventory before.
Mm-mm.
Now, the first 10 that hit, I can't really count those, okay, because they're like in another country, $0.
Right.
Nothing's free, might I add. So,
My mama always told me.
but it's really, I mean, we've definitely got some things out there that wasn't out there before. Like there's a house in Fort Pierce for $69,000.
What?
Yes.
That's like upstate New York.
This is very interesting. Oh my gosh. There's one in Blytheville, Arkansas on our MLS, Lucia.
OMG.
I don't know why, but that's $75,000.
Wow.
And then you can see some that are in Croatia. But when you start getting into actually Florida, I'm going to say the first 20 listings are somewhere else. But then there's a place, and I'm not even sure where Bulkhead Ridge, Florida is, but there's a home there for $119,000. And then when you get to the ones that are what I call our area, without other countries and things like that, I'm going to say that we have to go down about 30 listings. So the first thing that comes up is in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. The house is in shambles. It needs a lot of money. I'm going to say at least $250,000, but it's for sale for $179,000. And if you're watching what average market prices are, you would know that even if you wanted to go in and flip that at some point, you are going to make your money back off of it because of the area it's in. There's a beautiful home in Okeechobee for sale for $180,000.
Wow.
Let's see, going on down, Fort Pierce has, 189, another one in Okeechobee for 190. And now let's just look at Palm Beach County. So we said 661, right, that are for sale. And now if we look at how many of the 661 are actually in Palm Beach County, y'all want to take a guess at what that looks like?
Yeah. Oh, you mean price wise?
This is under 350,000. So we had 10,000 total, 661 in the entire area. And how many of the 661 are in Palm Beach County?
100.
75. Very close. So that number, I'm telling you, for a while, you couldn't find anything under $300,000.
No, you're
So
correct.
It was like 525 was like the average.
Yeah, exactly. I can't believe our time's almost up.
Right.
Well, I'm going to miss being here next week with you wonderful ladies, but we'll be together anyway.
In spirit.
In spirit. And to all of our viewers out there, if you're looking for an investment home, if you're looking for your first time home, if you're looking to buy land, if you're looking to redo your credit, if you need a little help or if you need a lot of help, the three of us ladies right here have you covered. It's Jen, Donna, and Lucia from Real Estate Dreams and Beyond. We are on every Monday at 3:00 and air for 50 minutes. You can watch the same show next week. Again, we are rolling out to iHeart Podcast this week and iHeart Radio. So we're very excited about that. And please feel free to contact us. I'm at 561-685-6663. I'm wishing you all a very happy 4th of July. I hope you have an amazing time with your families and that you're safe during that time. Ladies, thank you again. Say your sayonara's.
Thank you, Donna. I super appreciate it. You can reach me at 561-295-2005.
Thank you, ladies, for having me on. And for those of you watching, you guys can reach Elsie's Credit Solutions at 479-573-6206.
From your real estate dream team at Real Estate Dreams and Beyond, happy 4th of July, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.